Hello, you're watching TVP World, and this is World Talks. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Polish President Karol Nawrocki's veto of 45 billion euros in EU defense loans has deepened tensions between the presidency and the centrist government over Poland's approach to military modernization and sovereignty. At 9 a.m. on Friday, very shortly, the government will hold an extraordinary cabinet meeting to chart its response. And now to discuss and analyze the latest, we're joined by Piotr Kaczyński, a lecturer at University of Warsaw. Good to have you with us again, Piotr.
Good morning. Good morning to you all.
So it's actually almost 9 o'clock. We have a bit of time there. There is an extraordinary meeting of the Prime Minister and his cabinet that's going to take place very soon. I want to get to that in a moment. But this veto now, Poland would be set to receive more than any other country in the scheme, 45 billion euros. What's your first response? How strategically, let's say, sound was that veto from the president?
This is an internal internal warfare going on within the Polish political scene, where you have different political actors having kind of crazy ideas about what is possible, what is not possible here, and what is what truly. Because at the end of the day, if you look at what's going on inside Poland from outside, you have kind of impression that part of the political elites has gone absolutely crazy, and we could categorize them today, paraphrasing some kind of term from the past, as useful idiots. People who are undermining Polish security, not because they are deliberately foreign spies, but because they are serving other countries' interests. And I'm referring here to everybody who is not supportive of having a strong Polish military in light of what is going on in the immediate neighborhood of that country.
Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, let's look at the veto itself. I mean, this is, I believe, already 28. This will be 29. This is more than his predecessor, Andrzej Duda, vetoed, I think it was 19. Looking at that sort of trajectory and, let's say, what's next out of this, I mean, Nawrocki has said this is about sovereignty. Military matters should be on Poland's own terms. Practically, what is the president's plan in all this?
There's no plan. The plan is to have a domestic infighting against the government and preparing for 2027 elections, hopefully for the president to be won by the current opposition. This is clearly no plan, because the kind of fictional plan that the president and the central banker have procured in recent days is absolutely out of touch with any kind of reality, legality, and what have you. There is no money in the central bank. Even if there were money in the central bank, they couldn't be spent on defense spending. So what are we talking about? And on top of everything, President veto is not against 45 billion itself, but it is against how the government was planning to spend it. So the government plan that we'll see in about 10 minutes, where the government meets, is about how to spend the 45 billion euro on Polish military without the act of parliament, which was all about the rules of spending that money. So the president is unable to veto the 45 billion themselves, but he is projecting some kind of vision that he'd like to veto that, and instead he is supporting less transparency. It really is without any solid grounds on the ground, this veto of his. Well, if you compare it with the previous president, of course, it's different times. President Duda ruled mostly under the governance and government of law and justice, so they were in unison when it came to legislation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all the screen there, we're just watching as the government's cabinet is coming together there with that extraordinary meeting chaired by Prime Minister Donald Tusk. I just want to ask you again, give us a little bit more of a take. I mean, this is also what the Prime Minister said earlier some time ago. This will go ahead even if there is a veto. There is some level of financing that will go ahead. Tell us about this Plan B that the government will be discussing this morning.
Well, the plan B, of course, I don't know the details because I'm not a member of the government, but it definitely entails the fact that this is a decision that can be taken within the European Union, and then the government is going to process that loan within SAFE. The parameters of how that loan will be now processed without the act of parliament, that's exactly the question that Prime Minister Tusk is going to ask his colleagues around the table. But it's not about stopping that money. That money is actually very important and crucial for the Polish military to develop its capabilities in light of threats coming from the east and southeast.
Yeah, and on that threat level, as you said, I mean, this is something that already Poland knows about. I mean, in terms of trying to put together this strategy already for some years. We know that the invasion of Ukraine was a clear and present danger. It's right next door. Even the previous president knew that. Why do you think now this strange turn all of a sudden to say we do it on our own terms, it's different? I mean, how much I mean, politics is involved here. But, you know, looking at practical next terms, how is it seen from Brussels? How is it seen from across Europe, where very much is being done to try and build a comprehensive strategy together on security against Russia?
Look, there is no arguments that are viable or can be considered coming from that camp. There are only counter-imaginary arguments that one has to deal with, but they are imaginary. They are coming from Cervantes' reality, imaginary reality. They are not coming from reality on the ground. We are talking about a need. The need is to better equip Polish military. Another need. We need to have better European military because American military capabilities are limited, and now there is going to be increased pressure on American deliveries, not only to Europe, but also to the Middle East. So we need to have more military production in Europe. So buying European military production by European governments, that's pure logic. And on top of that is a third priority. We do it for ourselves and for Ukraine to be able to assist Ukraine better. President Nawrocki is talking about some illusionary deadlines, such as this loan to be paid back within 45 years by our grandchildren and children, etc. Well, if Polish economy is going to continue to grow as it has been growing so far, it will be able to pay it back much sooner than 45 years right now. So the fact that states are taking loans within certain limits is an ordinary statement, an ordinary process, and the government of law and justice did it as well in the past. So this is not some kind of bad practice here. This is a practice that is serving a certain purpose that great majority of political class actually agrees on. So I'm coming back to my original statement. We are dealing here with some kind of useful idiots who are serving interests that are not Polish, but they are not being paid by those foreign interests.
Right. And then just on our screen there, that's actually where the government of Prime Minister Tusk will be meet there in the Prime Minister's office. And as we said, that'll probably take place in about 5 minutes' time or so. So we'll hear more probably, as we've already been talking about here with you this morning. Also about the projects themselves, 139 different projects. Apparently most of that money, it would have been, I think, 80%, maybe even 90%, would have gone really to Polish projects, Polish industry. How do you think, Piotr, the public will react to this? I mean, this was money ready to go. The Interior Ministry even said they will lose out now by about €1 billion. What's the public going to say to all this?
This is actually a very interesting question because the public is clearly a little bit confused about all this. but some polls have been suggesting that a great majority of the Polish public is supportive of taking SAFE. I would imagine that a great majority of the Polish public would be supportive of taking both SAFE, the European program, and the SAFE 0% that President is dreaming about, if it was real. So great majority of the public is rather supportive of spending more money on Polish military, and if this spending can come from Polish factories, even better. So this is probably a negative, this may play out very negatively for the president and his political supporters.
Yeah, and also in terms of, I mean, what's next in all of this, looking at the sovereignty argument that the president has made, looking at, as we've kind of touched on already, these gold reserves. I mean, that's, how risky is that? Because we don't really have a full set plan. And also with the American factor, I mean, ultimately, right, this is the president who knows Donald Trump, who wants to show that that friendship exists. He wants that American, let's say, access point. But how willing is America going to be? As we know, Iran very much busy right now. Is there even munitions that Poland could buy?
This is fake argument again. Why? Last summer, Denmark was told that their Patriot purchase is going to be delayed because of the production limitations. Right now, Switzerland purchases in the US is being delayed because some of the US allies in the Middle East have priority because of the Iranian counterattacks. So to talk about a need to buy more equipment for Polish military outside of Europe, great, let's do it. But who has those capacities? Situation has changed from 5 years ago when the Poles were buying all those Abrams and planes from America and tanks from Korea. The times have changed in such a way that we need to increase production. And to increase that production, this money is precisely for that purpose. Anybody who says that great that Europe is going to be able to defend itself, but Europe should be buying European, not only European, but more American equipment, well, let's create conditions for that to happen. For the moment, US president and the US administration is not doing much for Europeans to buy more American military equipment. So we need it. Therefore, we need to make it ourselves.
All right, so thanks for giving us the latest there. Always a pleasure having you on this continuing story. Thanks so much, Piotr Kaczyński from University of Warsaw.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks. We'll stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.